His divine grace, Chiradavi Charadavri Bhaktivedanta Swami, Sri Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, ISKCON DVT Founder Acharya's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Principal Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopada Vinat Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki, Sri Vrindavan Mathura Dham ki, Sri Dwarka Dham ki, Sri Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Sri Navadip Mayapur Dham ki, Sri Mayapur Chandradai Mandir ki, Gangamai Jamunamai ki, Tulsi Revi Bhakti Revi ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Samabhata Bhakti Vrinda ki, Transcendental Book Distribution ki, Jai Shri Shri Gunitai ki, Jai Shri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi ki, Jai Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Jai Shri Giri Govardhana ki, Jai Shri Sri Radha Madhava ki, Jai Shri Sri Radha Shamasundar ki, Jai Nitai Gauda Pimanande. All glories to be assembled devotees, all glories to be assembled devotees, all glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Sharakaya Chaksuramilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhuktale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Etam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Syam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tata Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayashavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatutam Shloke Bhaktira Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swaschayanam Mahat. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantharaj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Rama Hare Hare.
Would like to request everyone to kindly fold your hands and repeat the following two short mantras. Yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shri Surabhyai Namaha.
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 Mukam karoti vachalam pangom langayate girim Yat kripatamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Yat kripatamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome everyone to the Sunday feast program. And I think there's a chosen verse for today. Here? Okay, there, close by. We are very happy to get an opportunity to once again have darshan of Lord Jagannath and all the wonderful devotees serving Lord Jagannath here. We are looking at Canto number 2, Chapter 9, entitled Answers by Citing the Lord's Version. What text number? 2-3, huh? Any need of translation? Anyways, I will just continue. If there is a need, somebody will tell me. Pratyadistam Maya Tatra Twayi Karma Vimohite Tapo Me Hridayam Sakshad Atmaham Tapaso Anagha Pratyadistam Maya Tatra Twayi Karma Vimohite Tapo Me Hridayam Sakshad Atmaham Tapason Naga Pratyadistam maya tatra
Pratyadishtam maya tatra
tvayi karma vimohite tapo me hridayam sakshat atmaham tapaso naga pratyadishtam maya tatra tvayi karma vimohite tapo me hridayam sakshat atmaham tapaso naga
pratyadishtam maya tatra tvayi karma vimohite tapo me hridayam sakshat atmaham tapaso nagha
pratyadishtam maya tatra tvayi karma vimohite tapo me hridayam sakshat atmaham tapaso anagha
pratyadishtam maya tatra tvayi karma vimohite tapo me hridayam sakshat atmaham tapaso nagha
Ladies, pratyadishtam, ordered, maya, by me, tatra, because of, twayi, unto you, karma, duty, vimohite, being perplexed, tapaha, penance, me, hridayam, heart, sakshat, directly, atma, life and soul, aham, myself, tapasaha, of one who is engaged in penance, anagha, O sinless one. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O sinless Brahma. Now you hear, then after you can repeat. O sinless Brahma, you may know from me that it was I who first ordered you to undergo penance when you were perplexed in your duty. Such penance is my heart and soul, and therefore penance and I are non-different. Now everyone can repeat. O sinless Brahma, you may know from me, that it was I, who first ordered you, to undergo penance, when you were perplexed, in your duty. Such penance, is my heart and soul. And therefore penance, and I are non-different. Purport: the penance by which one can see the personality of Godhead face to face is to be understood as devotional service to the Lord and nothing else, because only by discharging devotional service in transcendental love can one approach the Lord. Such penance is the internal potency of the Lord and is non-different from Him. Such acts of internal potency are exhibited by non-attachment for material enjoyment. The living entities are encaged in the conditions of material bondage because of their propensity for overlordship. But by engagement in the devotional service of the Lord, one becomes detached from this enjoying spirit. The devotees automatically become detached from worldly enjoyment. And this detachment is the result of perfect knowledge. And there's, of course, a very important verse in the first canto of the Bhagavatam which directly explains this point. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with it. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chaya Dahaitukam. That simply by taking up the process of pure devotional service, ahaituki, in a causeless manner, which we cannot understand, but automatically, causelessly, jnanam, knowledge, and vairagya, detachment, ensues. Therefore, the penance of devotional service includes knowledge and detachment. This is the last sentence of this first paragraph. Therefore, the penance of devotional service. So nicely explained here. Penance is devotional service. Our actual penance, Prabhupada mentions in the beginning, our only penance. Our only penance means understanding devotional service as the most important activity of our lives. And therefore, if we understand this, if we believe it, if we are convinced about this, we will absorb ourselves in activities of devotional service, and the result being that we will acquire transcendental knowledge and we will become detached from the material world. Prabhupada continues, one cannot enjoy material illusory prosperity if he desires to return home back to Godhead. Cannot have both things simultaneously. One who has no information of the transcendental bliss in the association of the Lord foolishly desires to enjoy this temporary material happiness. Chapala sukha, flickering happiness of the material world. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that if someone sincerely wants to see the Lord and at the same time wants to enjoy this material world, he is considered to be a fool only, naturally. One who wants to remain here in the material world for material enjoyment has no business entering into the eternal kingdom of God. The Lord favors such a foolish devotee by snatching all that he may possess in the material world. If such a foolish devotee of the Lord tries to recoup his position, then the merciful Lord again snatches away all that he may have possessed. In one instance, actually, Prabhupada, when explaining this point, I don't know if he might be mentioning it here, he mentions actually, I have personal experience. Because Srila Prabhupada, as we know, was, as a householder, like a business person. And Prabhupada would explain years later when he went to America, at that time as a householder, my thought, my dream was, let me make a lot of money and help the mission. And we see that many times. But here, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that the Lord, when He takes away everything from someone who has this kind of mentality, then that is to be considered as His mercy. And Prabhupada would say, the Lord, in this way, Krishna was very merciful to me because I lost everything. So, if any of you here have lost or may lose everything, consider it as the mercy of the Lord. By such repeated failures, Prabhupada continues, by such repeated failures in material prosperity, he becomes very unpopular. That's another mercy. To become unpopular in the material world. One becomes very unpopular with his family members and friends. When one becomes a devotee, all kinds of chain reactions happen. I'm sure many of you have experienced. I have experienced personally also. People start asking, what happened to you? You must have hit your head on the wall or something, something definitely happened. And of course we know that yes, something definite has happened. Somehow by the mercy of the Lord, I'm beginning to understand or to see things differently than what I was perceiving before. Before I was totally foolishly thinking that I can be happy by accumulating wealth, by enjoying in different material ways. But now I'm beginning to understand that that is not the case. In the material world, the family members and friends honor like worship, persons who are very successful in accumulating wealth by any means. Sounds familiar? The foolish devotee of the Lord is thus put into forcible penance by the grace of the Lord. And at the end, there's a happy ending. At the end, the devotee becomes perfectly happy. Being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, penance in devotional service of the Lord, either by voluntary submission or by being forced by the Lord, is necessary for attaining perfection, and thus such penance is the internal potency of the Lord. Last paragraph. One cannot, however, be engaged in the penance of devotional service without being completely free from all sins. as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, only a person who is completely free from all reactions of sins can engage himself in the worship of the Lord. Brahmaji was sinless, and therefore he faithfully discharged the advice of the Lord. Tapa, those were the two syllables, as we know, that Lord Brahma heard, and he could understand, I have to perform penance. And the Lord, being satisfied with him, awarded him the desired result. Therefore, only love and penance combined can please the Lord, and thus one is able to attain the Lord's complete mercy. He directs the sinless, and the sinless devotee attains the highest perfection of life. Very wonderful purport given here by Srila Prabhupada. Tapasya brahmacharyena samena cha damena cha. Penance actually is the special feature of those who have been fortunate to attain a human form of life. Other living entities in lower forms of life cannot understand penance. So penance, as it is nicely explained here, is actually directly the Lord. It is the process by which we can attain the favor of the Lord. Tapasya. But Srila Prabhupada would explain, our tapasya actually is not so difficult. Our tapasya involves chanting and dancing, and when we're tired, taking prasada. This is our tapasya. Of course, the very important point made also in the purport, one cannot go to Krishna, one cannot enter the kingdom of the Lord unless one becomes sinless. And of course, sinless means no longer being entangled in the material world under the influence of the gunas, or the modes of material nature. The whole world presently is, we see, engaged, people in general, people who are devoid of this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, are heavily engaged in all kinds of sinful activities. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, that is the primary reason he left India, to give an opportunity to the Western world, actually, as ordered by his spiritual master. People cannot so easily take up to God consciousness or Krishna consciousness unless they are favored. Actually, unless they are favored by devotees. That is why, by Srila Prabhupada's going to the Western countries, so many people, not only outside of India but also here in India, have been favored by his different preaching activities. We are traveling in this part of India right now. Normally I don't visit Bangalore too often. Actually, I don't visit cities too often. Nothing exactly against cities or against people living in cities, but actually something very important for us to understand. So many things important for us to understand, but in connection with cities, I'd like to speak a little bit about this, because Srila Prabhupada mentioned, for example, why did I go to New York City? I chose New York City because New York City was, and possibly still is, the city where there's most sinful activities going on. Prabhupada would explain that cities are especially those places where there is heavy tamagun and rajagun. The modes of material nature especially prominent in the cities. And due to wrong leadership around the world for many decades, due to wrong policies that have been introduced in different parliaments in different countries, there is, as I'm sure many of you know, and possibly some of you are living examples also, there has been an exodus, an ongoing exodus, means people are leaving all over the world, villages. How many of you are from village here? Only, is it? Okay. There's an increasing number. Actually, there's been a premeditated plan going back 30, 40 years. You've heard of summit meetings, right? Where all the leaders from the majority of countries in the world come together. And they came up with a report that's called Agenda 21. Anyone heard this? Where have you been? Agenda 21 means this was made up actually by leaders. Agenda 21 means agenda for the 21st century. Here we are. You know, we are 19 years in the 21st century. So many different leaders actually before the turn of this century were planning for the future. Part of the plan actually continues to be, let us move the majority of people in the cities, because we'll be able to control them more easily. They'll be able to more easily consume and buy things, and it's happening, of course. They'll be more easily be able to be involved with all kinds of modern technology, etc., like that. So if we analyze actually some of the basic principles and concepts of our Vedic culture, and I actually am connected with a very important department which is still somewhat less known here in India, but it's been around for 10 years. It's taking us some time to get around. It's called ISKCON. It's a national ministry. Actually, you should consider yourselves fortunate today. Damodar Dulal Prabhu, can you raise your hand? You can stand up actually. We actually have 2 ministers in your midst this morning. Damodar Dulal Prabhu is our minister for cow protection here in India, national minister. Kindly welcome. And in front of you is another minister for ISKCON Daiva Varnasrama ministry. Actually, India is very unique in that I don't know of any other country, I don't know of any other ISKCON activity in other countries that has even one national ministry. It's very significant. Our 2 ministries actually are dealing with some very basic and fundamental principles that practically are forgotten in modern day society. And the primary principle I want to maybe just address a little bit because time is limited. think about this. Vedic culture has always been and is meant to be also an agrarian-based culture. An agrarian-based culture means that members of that culture every day, are meant to interact with cows and are meant to interact with the land. The vast majority of those living in an agrarian culture, they live what is called localized life. They don't travel far away for their livelihood. Their livelihood is walking distance. How many of you are walking to work? Jai. Okay, at least one person. But the majority of you are not walking to work, is it? How many of you are not walking to work? Okay. Yeah. I mean, practically everyone who works today in the city, even in the country, but much less, more, especially in, you have to go by bus, or you have to have your car, or motorbike. Unless some people consider themselves fortunate, they can work from home on their computer. Chanaka Pandit explains, there are two ways to be happy. Who wants to be happy? You know, everyone wants to be happy. So Chanaka Pandit explains there are two ways, two simple ways. But those two simple ways become very complicated in the city. The two simple ways mentioned by Chanaka, one can be happy if one lives localized life, if one doesn't have to travel far away from home, if one is not separated from his loved ones, his family members, number one. And secondly, this is also very much applicable for probably, anyway, the majority. I don't know if it's 60 or 90%. Definitely in America it would be like 99%, if not 100%. So Chanaka Pandit explains, one can be happy if one does not have any debts. Debts. If one does not use his credit card or overuse his credit card. Most people in the world today are, whatever standard that they're living is because they borrowed money, isn't it? And Yudhishthira Maharaj gives another important instruction. One can be happy if one can digest his food. You know, Krishna consciousness is very practical, down to earth. Now, today we're not able to meet our basic needs and necessities of life because we're living, especially in the cities, a very artificial, unnatural lifestyle. We have to travel a long distance. We get caught in traffic jams, especially in Bangalore. Special feature of Bangalore. But it's noisy, pollution, heavy. We got a report just a few days ago how in Jakarta, which is the capital of Indonesia, Jakarta is very much like Calcutta. I mean, overcrowded, heavily polluted. So anyways, report is that people, because of the heavy pollution in Jakarta, reports of people are dying. The situation around the world, because we have deviated from some basic, more natural ways of doing, of working, of living, of studying, etc., has become extremely critical, actually, for all of us. Prabhupada spoke about this many years ago as well. One of our programs actually is going in the villages, visiting villages. We have this program called Dharma Gogram Yatra. we have only a small team of devotees in our ministry, actually. So one of the reasons I accepted invitation to come and visit our 3 main temples here in Bangalore was to try and bring a very important message. I have to be cautious how I how I present this. The important message actually is that even though we may be living in cities, which for most of us actually we should not be doing. Most of you should not be living in cities. Most of people living in cities today are not in the right place. Prabhupada spoke about this as well. The more we actually understand what I mentioned a few minutes ago, that Vedic culture is an agrarian culture, and the natural, more simple lifestyle is when we grow our own food, eat wholesome food, live in a sattvic atmosphere. The only time most people, let's say, experience something of a sattvic nature is when they come to a temple. Because otherwise we're caught up in all kinds of activities, meeting all kinds of people who are not devotees, and therefore the heavy negative influence is actually there. So our ministry is especially promoting trying to build up, trying to create actually model villages. Prabhupada spoke about this. Make Vrindavan. Make Vrindavan villages. Actually, that's one of the first books we wrote some years back. And there's a very urgent need, especially in a country like India, to actually save our villages, to save our cows, and to save our culture. We have become a very destructive society. We are killing animals like anything, especially cows as well, all over the world. We are killing children within the womb, unborn children. Prabhupada explains how modern day education is another form of killing. Atmahana, we're killing the soul, not giving an opportunity for young people to actually understand about what is life, what is the real purpose of life. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada knew and understood that actually this movement, Hare Krishna movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is the most important movement and the only movement that can actually give proper spiritual understanding as well as proper material knowledge. Now, all over the world, because of modern day industrialization, actually the problems became compounded with the era of modern industrialization, which has been ongoing for the last 200 years, where everything is becoming more and more mechanized, and where the very production of our food is totally unnatural, to the point that we are not even eating on a daily basis food that is beneficial for us, or wholesome food. It is impossible practically to get pure ahimsa milk. That means also it is impossible to get pure ahimsa ghee. And actually the standard for cooking, we should be cooking in ghee. Prabhupada explained one time that the only oil that one should put inside this body is ghee. So we want to invite actually especially congregational members and our temples also to give. As a matter of fact, a few years ago we had a leadership meeting, I forget where it was, but what we call the ISKCON India Advisory Committee, IIAC, some of you may be familiar. We managed to actually pass a resolution in that body a few years ago, whereby each temple should have a department for rural development. We need people actually, it is a responsibility of people in cities also to be concerned about and to be active because the condition in the villages. And we should understand that actually what's happening in the villages ultimately affects us. Because your Sunday feast every Sunday, and whatever you eat every day, it comes ultimately from the villages, isn't it? From the farmers, yeah. So we have a campaign actually that has been ongoing for the last 4 years. We are trying to present this campaign in all of our different centers. It is called Om Sri Surabhi campaign. Sri Ram Prabhu is here, hiding somewhere. Anyways, there's another devotee who is connected with this Om Sri Surabhi campaign, and Sri Ram is making his appearance. Actually, there are two brothers. Sri Ram is just at the door. Stand in the middle of the door so everyone can see him. Yeah. Sri Ram and his brother, Sri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu, can stand up. Sri Ram actually is based in, now he's based in Bangalore. But he's from Hyderabad, and he's our director in our ministry for the Om Sri Surabhi campaign. He can tell you a bit more about it. We have some pamphlets actually at the end of the class. We have a book table at the end. And Sri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu, he is based actually in California. He came all the way from California to see all of you here today. And he's looking after, actually, he organized a very nice conference last year on the 20th of May, whereby Dr. Subramaniam Swami was the key note speaker on cow culture. ISKCON as a society actually has a responsibility to promote and introduce this aspect, this yet to be addressed or realized dimension of Prabhupada's mission. Prabhupada explained how 50% of his mission was yet to be taken up. As a matter of fact, our GBC passed a resolution just a few years ago stating that whereas in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada spoke extensively about Varnashrama, which remains 50% of his unfulfilled mission. Therefore, the GBC body establishes a research committee, which is ongoing. Before that, of course, our ministry here in India, as I mentioned, was established in the year 2009. And also this year, for your information, because not everyone, GBC minutes are not the bestseller, or are not things that people read on a regular basis, but the important resolution passed just a few months ago in the context of milk, specifically in the context of ahimsa milk. There's a resolution, and you can remind maybe your temple authorities that by year 2022, within the next 2 years, every single temple, including yours here, the Jagannath temple, every single temple is bound or must offer only ahimsa milk, means milk, pure milk from protected cows. And down the line, this is very significant actually. And down the line it means that actually every devotee should also be moving in that direction. Actually, is Ananta Tirtha Prabhu here? Ananta Tirtha, stand up, please. Ananta Tirtha Prabhu is actually one of our directors in our ministry. He is a director for traditional technologies. Are you wearing your cotton? Yes. Yeah. Actually, in the last few years, he gives seminars on this also. This is an important branch or department of our ministry. He's been developing, along with a team of devotees, a ahimsa cloth from the seed right up until actually making by hand what was traditionally the standard here in India. Do you have samples here? Yeah. You can have a look at something very, we are losing thank you. We are losing our traditional technologies. We're losing so many things actually due to this modernization. And where's that book? Somebody should give me that book. We came out with a book, Modernity. Modernity, the title of the book actually is, the two books. These are two important books we recently published in our ministry. So one of them is called Modernity is Killing Civilization. Killing civilization are, if anyone has read Prabhupada's books or heard any lectures, Prabhupada uses this expression quite often. Because we are living in a killing civilization. And that's why Prabhupada mentioned that today's civilization is a doomed civilization and will soon come to an end. And if we remain dependent on this unnatural, artificial civilization, we're in trouble. We're already in trouble. That is one of the many reasons why Prabhupada wanted us to be independent from this artificial, dangerous setup that is there in modern day society. And this other book, this will be in the back actually on the book table. The other book we came out with is called Save Our Cows, Save Our Villages, and Save Our Culture. And these three basic principles or realities are connected with something that is connected with leadership in society. Because if we have qualified leaders, then naturally the most important qualified leader in society, in Vedic society, are the Brahmanas. And they are the ones who are meant to protect culture or knowledge, isn't it? The Brahmanas are the ones who are teaching. And the second most important leader in society, naturally, are the Kshatriyas, those who are meant to organize. Kshatriya, he protects society, he protects dharma, he physically protects citizens, he physically protects citizens we know in the Vedic culture are not only human beings but also animals, any living entity, cows especially. And then he organizes society so that everyone's needs are met, and he also is responsible for the welfare if there's any calamity. First important leader, Brahmana. Second important leader, Kshatriya. Third important leader, Vaishya, those who are meant to produce food in a natural way. We don't have any of those. In modern day society, we practically don't have any of those. So, it's already past 12 o'clock. We have something very interesting also, which all of you can avail of this facility. Our ministry came out with an app, just to keep up with the times. You have to have an app nowadays. This is a good app. It's called Sri Surabhi. Can you get the Surabhi mantra ready? Okay. In this app, there's all kinds of very nice information, very important information on some of the things we spoke about. There are many links to different websites where you can avail of all kinds of additional information. And there are different ways by which you can be connected actually with this. It's a 12-year campaign. Actually, Sri Ram Prabhu is, along with a few other devotees, heading up here in India, and of course Sri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu outside of India, especially North America. So there are ways to become actually members. We have this nice pamphlet called Sri Surabhi Global. This is explained more in detail on the website that we have called srisurabhi.org. Prabhupada explained actually the best way. You know what is the best way? I heard this actually in a lecture just this morning. This morning or yesterday. Prabhupada tells, I was very happy to hear this. Everyone in the material world naturally has a material mind. And our material mind is always troublesome. Isn't it? Our mind is, what to do with my mind. Prabhupada explained in this particular lecture, the best way to control the mind, for those who are wanting to control the mind, and we should all be wanting to do that, best way to control the mind, in that lecture Prabhupada was explaining, is to absorb the mind in the preaching mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Is to somehow direct your mind in the preaching mission of our ISKCON society. There are so many ways that are needed, so many ways available in which all of us can be assisting in this great and most important mission that is very much needed today. So before I leave the premises, which will be probably within a short time, I will give a complimentary small book to the Prabhu and the Mataji, who will, before I step out of this door, download this app and show me and register also. Not anyone who has registered before or downloaded before. We invite you to, we have our main office, actually our secretariat is in Mayapur. If you ever visit Mayapur, devotees naturally, those are the two most important places we visit, Mayapur and Vrindavan. So we have our secretariat in the long building, room 137 in Mayapur. And we have various literatures, etc. You can visit our website, you can write to us, you can take some of our pamphlets. And again, we invite you to be part and assisting these two very important ministries. Ministry for cow protection here in India, and also ministry for rural development. We need people to help us come in the villages. It's very wonderful experience. We were in Tumkur. I was 1 week in Tumkur actually before coming here. We visited 3 villages. We have, anyways, we do a number of things. Most important thing is we, on the last day, we have Go Puja, we have Harinam Sankirtan, then we have a class. And we invite people to sign up. What we had before many years ago, I think it's still there today, but a different name. In those days we called it Samskar Patra, where we invite people to take a vow, take a pledge to chant 1 round every day, chanting the holy name, because that is the Yuga Dharma. So there's many more things to be said, but we are running out of time. And as we normally do, if anyone has some particular question, we can take a few minutes possibly. Otherwise, I don't want to delay anyone's prasadam here. Sunday feast prasadam. But there's a few questions, possibly we can address that. Yeah. Any mic?
No, that's okay.
No, it's not okay. Not everyone can hear. If there is one, otherwise you have to stand up and speak loudly.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Standing, you're not standing.
Prabhu, Maharaj, sorry. Maharaj, I have a question. The point is, there are many communities which are there as a farm community, but in all those communities, the community normally would be managed by a trust. And there will be devotees who go and live and serve the community and come. But still, if you see as a family men or any of it, there will be no source or enthusiasm to increase the economic development until and unless there is a motive behind profit. Right?
Wrong. You can sit down. You're not reading the Bhagavad Gita properly. Our main profit for activities is not this. Our main profit is to please Krishna. We are duty bound to perform our activities, but we should not be attached to the results. The results actually are already determined based on karma. This is nicely explained by Prahlad Maharaj especially. So we need to understand, and because not only we need to understand, but we need to accept what our authorities, what our acharyas, especially our founder acharya, is explaining. And thank you for bringing up this question, because I humbly request you to begin with, since you're asking this question. And also all who are householders, or maybe future householders, to kindly read carefully and study the last 5 chapters of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 11 to 15. It is Narada Muni's, dissertation, his PhD dissertation on Varnashram. And there are very important instructions given by Srila Prabhupada, given by Narada Muni also, for householders regarding how we can maintain and sustain ourselves. Actually, communities, ideal communities, are meant to be villages. And villages are places where one is meant to live. And do you know what is the best economy? Because you talk about, yeah, what is the best economy?
In the village or anywhere?
Anywhere.
Anywhere. The grains and the cows, the milk, tea and other products. If you see the primary sector.
Okay, actually, and what is the Sanskrit formula for that? Yes, that is actually the scientific formula for sustainable economy. And we can learn about this and should learn about it through our Shastra. And we can learn about it also by speaking to some of our elders, grandfather or grandmother, who are actually living this philosophy. I met one person just a few days ago, about 60 or so years of age. He was going to see his mother and father, who are in their 90s, to spend the last days with them. He was mentioning how he remembered as a child that all of their necessities were from the village, practically speaking. I've met and spoken with individuals also. So in other words, if we understand that this, and if we believe that this is the perfect formula, then we will take the necessary measures by which, either by hearing from others or by visiting places where it's happening, and we can be assured that actually all of our basic necessities. Now, if we want to live the kind of same standard that people are living in the cities, that won't happen. It may happen, but actually we don't want that really, because one of the basic instructions that we hear all the time is that Vedic culture, we voluntarily minimize our material necessities, etc. Not that we necessarily become poor, but we minimize our material necessities. There's more to be said on that, but somebody else had their hand up. Yeah. You can stand up, Prabhu. You're not that tall. But don't put your hands up. But don't put your hands up in ecstasy, because you might touch the fan. Yes. Yes.
So you said that Krishi, Goraksha and Vanijya is the sustainable formula for living.
Yes. You have a better one? Do you have a better one?
I have a doubt.
Yes. Go ahead.
That in modern times, then do we not need nuclear weapons and advanced jets and guns for protecting ourselves?
No.
Then how will anybody who is against Vedic culture and having these technologies, they will immediately destroy Vedic culture?
We need brahmanas who can develop brahmanastra. You're reading too many books on science fiction. Any other? Yes.
Nowadays, what I saw yesterday, that instead of cow slaughter, people are eating cows. But both the cow slaughter, there are cows which are dying there, nobody look after them.
Okay, your point is that actually there are cows that are well, never mind about cow slaughter, there are cows that are not going to the slaughter but still dying because no one is looking after them. Yes, of course. Actually, one of our devotees here, Sri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu, was right there. Can you speak for 2 minutes about what happened in Rajasthan? This is an up-to-date on Rajasthan. If you want to have up-to-date, you contact our ministry.
4 weeks ago I was there in North.
Standing up, stand up, and loudly.
You can come here and
Come here, actually. This is very important. You deserve to have the mic. Come. Yeah, I turned it off.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. I think with Maharaj blessings, 2 weeks ago I was in Bangalore and Jaisalmer area where many cows are dying. At least 1 lakh cows are dead. Before we went there, from Om Shri Surabhi campaign, we have a temporary solution. We distributed around 18 villages fodder for the cows. This Channa fodder comes from the Haryana, and we went there and we distributed to each and every village. But as Maharaj mentioning in the class, we are kind of adapting a village called Harshnani. It's a border of Pakistan, just 25 kilometers from Pakistan border. So there are, for Rajasthanis, there is no agriculture. For them it's only cows. So whatever they have cows grazing, and they become lazy nowadays because some Swamiji will come and give the fodder. So that's why we are educating the villagers. Please make sure that you take care of the cows and take care of the villages as well as possible. So and we met the collector there, and the government gave 30 crores, but I don't know when it will come to the proper villages. So far we have 25 trucks. Each truck cost around 1,20,000 rupees. We distributed those to the villages. But next year we'll have so next year, as Maharaj mentioned in the class, so we'll have a sustainability by how the Gochara Bhumi can use for the cows. The many villages have many land, at least 500 acres land they have. So we visited one village, they have 500 acres. Let use for the Gochara Bhumi. Cows can grow there, and the villages will sustain. Many things to say, but that's a small update from myself. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Can we hear something from our minister, the cow protection? Yeah, because he's also naturally quite concerned and active also in that area. You see, from the moment of India's independence, in the constitution, there was a provision whereby each village was meant to have and maintain and keep this Gochar Bhumi for the cows. Many of you will know this, but unfortunately, due to wrong policies, etc., and due to modernization, mechanization, this has not been done, and therefore that's one of many problems that is there. But I'll request our Damodar Dulal Prabhu to mention a few things possibly. Yeah.
On Rajasthan or in general?
In general.
Hare Krishna. I'm grateful to Maharaj for many things. What all we are trying to do is because what we heard from Maharaj and read his books. As Maharaj said in our ministry, our main purpose is to educate devotees, first of all our devotees, in associating with cows. Even if you are staying in a city, how can you associate with cows? That's our main concern, and we are trying to educate our devotees in that. Very simply, how we can, as we made a point, if all of us in Vedic culture, first it was go grass, first morsel or first before having food, we used to offer that to cow. If we make that a point, of course, that we give something for cow first, then cows, won't have such condition. During our independence time, we had many cows. Like as many people we had, say example, I don't exactly remember the numbers, so if 40 crore people, then that many crore cows. But now according to census we just have 10 crore cows, and that too not indigenous, and the population is 125 plus crores. So because we are not taking care of cows, we are not feeding them. Everybody has a responsibility, and as cow is mother, she gives milk, ghee, and as Maharaj said, our GBC policy is all dairy products, milk, ghee, paneer, whatever we offer to the deities has to come from ahimsa, protected cows. It has to be from protected cows. Of course, by using cow products in our day-to-day life. But I want to ask a question: who all brushes their teeth every day? Everyone. Many of them are not. Maybe they use datun. There are 14 types of datun. If somebody has acidity, if they use currants, we call in our local language, they will not have acidity, that kind of datun. But anyway, a mundane activity like brushing our teeth, if we use products made by cow, dantamanjan, then we are helping the economy of a gopalaka. We are supporting cows, then supporting multinational companies who are indirectly part of cow slaughter. So like that, in everything, consumer products, soaps, cow, tooth, dantamanjan, everything, if you are connected to cows. So staying in city, staying in Bangalore, you can still be connected. And as Srila Prabhupada used to say, give an example, a lame man and blind man, for Indians and Westerners, what if they have to go together? You know the story, that if a blind man can carry a lame man, then both can run. So similarly, you are staying in city, and nearby there are so many villages. If you help a farmer, tie up with a farmer, you get good produce. Help him for cows. Locally you can take your children there, visit goshalas. Then I think you can have wonderful things to eat. As Napoleon used to say, army doesn't march on soldiers, it marches on its cooks. So where will our movement go if you don't have proper nutrition? If you don't offer the best things to the Lord? So it's very important point, and there is lots to say. And I'm very grateful that Maharaj got me here, although I was not scheduled to be here. I'm scheduled to go to Nagpur tomorrow. There is a 2 days very important conference where experts from all over India are going to come, and there's a think tank which we are going to present to the government what can be done. And in this budget, you must have heard that zero budget natural farming is being promoted. It's a very wonderful thing. So I just, I'm again very grateful to Maharaj for calling me, and it's an important topic, so kindly take it seriously. And in our campaign, that's our goal. It's a 12-year campaign which Maharaj has envisioned, and that's the main purpose, that all of our devotees especially and the world at large should be educated, and we get connected to mother cows in our day-to-day lives. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, thank you very much, Damodar Dalal Prabhu and Sri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu. As we mentioned a little earlier, we have a book table in the back, and if anyone would like to, some of you may have other questions, but the time does not allow, but you can meet some of us individually. If there is any question, we'll be happy to speak with you. Very often on Sunday programs there are local announcements, and I see somebody with a notepad. So announcements possibly, right? Time for announcements. Hare Krishna.
I think we must raise our hands and chant as a token of gratitude to Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada envisioned back in 1970s.
Okay.
His disciples are taking it forward inch by inch. So thank you so much, Maharaj. All glories to your efforts. And it really takes a lot of heart to engage the energy into fields which, except Prabhupada and his followers, nobody is bothered to look at. Because there is no money there is no profit, there is no recognition. Once again, Maharaj, we are very, very thankful to you. Such a wonderful initiative. Okay, the announcements. We all had a wonderful, successful Rath Yatra. Jagannath Swami Rath Yatra.
This is my brother-in-law.
If I start reading out the names
He's a
of
wonderful
people who
astrologer
donated,
and a good preacher,
people
good preacher.
who
I'm sure he is.
cooked, people who decorated the deities, the
I
Rath,
just wanted to.
then I think we will be here till maybe 2:30. So let's chant for all of them in one go and pray that each one of us advance on the path of devotional life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Some important announcement regarding the next week, some about the Rath Yatra also. So hear them for, We have Prema Mataji who did the Rajbhog Seva today in the morning for her deceased son. So we can chant one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra for her. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the temple management extends to each and everyone a token of thanks for pulling off a wonderful Jagannath Rath Yatra, which was also aired on Shankar TV. This was the first time that the Rath Yatra Mahotsav was aired on a TV channel for more than 1 hour. So, on 8th July, which is tomorrow, Monday, we have Shri Vakreshwar Pandit Disappearance Day, and tomorrow also happens to be the Hera Panchami. Shri Vakreshwar Pandit Disappearance Day Mahamahotsav ki. 12th of July we are observing the fasting for Shayana Ekadashi, and you can break the fast on 13th July. The parents' time is 6:32 a.m. to 10:16 a.m. On 16th July we will be observing Guru Vyasa Purnima, and it will also be the Srila Sanatan Das Goswami Disappearance Day. 16th also happens to be the beginning of the first month of Chaturmasya, and devotees are requested to refrain from eating green leafy vegetables for 1 month. So it's beginning from 16th July. Kindly make a note of that. Those who had collected donations on behalf of temple, please meet the BBD counter and pass on the Lakshmi to the temple management. There is Mangal Nityananda Prabhu who sponsored 1 square feet. Kindly say a loud Haribol for him. Haribol. Then we have Nagum CV, which is Venkateshwar Shyama Reddy for Rath Yatra donation. A loud Haribol for him as well. Haribol. Vishwadeep Datta Prabhu for 1 square feet. Haribol. Neela SM for 2 square feet. Haribol. And then there is a long list of Rath Yatra donors who are there, for whom we have already chanted. And today our temple devotee, His Grace Adhokshaja Prabhu, is getting married. Is he there? And on this occasion he has sponsored the Sunday Love Feast Prasadam. So I think we can chant for his great glorious future once he gets married. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Prabhu will make some announcements now.
Hare Krishna. So as His Grace Radha Gopinath was mentioning about the successful Rath Yatra which we celebrated last week. So the list of donors probably is too long to be read out in detail, but I would like to definitely read the list of devotees because of whom this Rath Yatra was possible. So we teach in our, when we give sessions for college students, we tell that nothing comes by chance. We should be very heavy on that, Big Bang theory and chance theory. Such a big festival cannot come by chance. A lot of people are involved. So I will be calling out their names. They can come forward and accept the token of appreciation as a gift from the auspicious hands of His Holiness Bhaktiraj Swami Maharaj. So Lakshman Prasad will be helping me, and I will be calling out the names. As I call out the names, you can just quickly come. Long list of names I have, and accept the gift.
So I will be listing out the names of the service in charges, the coordinators, and they can collect for their members also, which means it will be too much of a crowd here. So only the in charges will be called and they can come here. Keep them. Also, parallel right now, second initiated devotee sitting here in the audience, I requested immediately go towards the God Nitai hall for some meeting. Second initiated devotees, immediately God Nitai hall for a DT worship seminar. So to begin with, we have the Rath decoration, the banner, about 8 banners were put all across the Rath street.
I mentioned that already.
Pillars and trees, and also the wind up, which actually
After
begins
his
after
announcement,
10:30 and ends up by about 12:30. That was done by Himanshu Prabhu. The VEC, the Bhagavad Gita prize distribution, was conducted by Prashant Prabhu. Prasadam serving in charge Arjun Prabhu. And we have altar decoration, we have Abhishek Prabhu. Pahanti Vijay, that is by Dinesh Prabhu. The Rath decoration setup of the convention hall, the Rama convention hall, by Rakha Krishna Prabhu. Rakha Krishna Prabhu is probably outside. We request him to please come in and accept the prize from the hands of Maharaj. We also have all DT services, that is the Pujari service, decoration, garland, dressing by Srivas Krishna Prabhu and His Grace Deepa Chaitanya Prabhu. Then we have route coordination, the master of ceremony for the event happened in the Rama Convention Hall. DT transportation by His Grace Uttam Damodar Prabhu. We have guest department, the Vijay Madhav Prabhu. Preaching with sheets, that is the book distribution with Kripamay Varam Prabhu. Lunch prasadam serving by Gunayana Prabhu. Yoga offering on Rath route by Jyotishar Madhav Prabhu. You can quickly come and accept the prizes. We have dinner prasadam serving by Radhapati Madhav Prabhu. Deeptan by Sanatan Nikaya Prabhu. DPD stall and donation booth by Geeteshwari Mataji. Harinam, that is Sankirtan, Santushti Govinda Prabhu. Then live on Facebook, photography and video by Karanya Garam Prabhu. Akshayakar Sundar Prabhu for May I Help You counter. And we have Mithilarish Prabhu for Hundi Seva. Shoe keeping stall, very humble service by Sahir Prabhu. We have Vipin Vihari Rajesh Prabhu for guest care department.